Okay, have people around you ever tried to instigate an idea that you're not good enough, that you're not dealing well at work? Have they ever tried to quote you and make references to your life to implement the idea that your phone is hacked? Well, if so, then this video is for you. Okay, so let me start with a little bit of a story about how they wanted me to do bad at work, and I somehow did not. So, in the very first work in Holland, um, I was driving to work with two of my colleagues, and the woman who drove the car used to drink beer when driving. Then during the break, she would drink beer once again, or she would go to the shop to get more beer. She would take extra breaks and she would encourage me to make some extra break too. Or she would just go to sleep at work and she would go to sleep in the car. And then she would ask, "Do you think that our boss," we used to call him Grandpa, "do you think he noticed I was gone?" And then um, I was also asked if I wanted to smoke something with them, and I didn't want to smoke anything with them. And if all that modeling the behavior for me didn't work, together with peeing on the flowers, we used to clean flowers, and the man who worked with me and lived with me in the same flat used to go and pee on the flowers, and he told me I could go and pee on the flowers instead of using the bathroom, which was really sad thing, because we worked there. And that modeling didn't work with me, so we had a situation when 10 flowers were going on the line, and I was supposed to stick the stickers on these flower pots, and I didn't manage to put the stickers on 10 of them because they were covered with air, so the sticker didn't go in easily. And I told him 10 flower pots were coming. I didn't manage to put the sticker. All he had to do was to place them in a different place. He didn't say a word. He didn't comment on that. He didn't let me know something was off, that he was tired or something. 4 hours later, our driver arrived, and we entered the car, and then he started to yell at me that I added a lot of work for him and he couldn't cope because of me, and he basically implied that I was useless and I didn't know how to work because of those 10 flower pots. And because he did that in front of our driver, who had the opinion of telling everything to the boss, then I said it right away that the man used to drink at work every day. And there was a funny situation with all that when they tried to instigate some guilt in me here too, because he acted like a child. He didn't want to go to work, and he was also very intimidating for me, like starting to close the door very loudly and so on, and he became mean. So I didn't want to work with him, but I told him it's okay, you can go to work. I didn't report it anywhere. I was protecting myself when you attacked me with lies. But that wasn't good enough, and then I was on the phone with the boss talking about him and his contract, which was very much unusual for me, because the driver who gave me the phone supposedly spoke 3 languages, but he was checking if I would help, if I wouldn't help, and he wanted me to feel guilty for Sławek's decision of resigning, and breaking the contract from day to day. Okay, then we had a new girl, and that girl also, modeled for me, but she had some cookies with some, with something extra, like in Holland, and I wasn't into that, I didn't want to try it. I had the same situation at work when I was a stripper. I could say I didn't want to drink, and when I said I didn't want to drink, it happened that I received a drink with alcohol in it. And someone in my family used to be a tailor, and he too, got paid with alcohol, and he had some time of drinking because of the payment he received. Yeah. Um, okay. So I was portrayed as a person who didn't deal at work, which for me was a big miscomprehension. But later in the second work, it wasn't any better because I was portrayed as a rat. So people started to quote me and people started to refer to my life. And they also were mean to me. Like if I said, for example, that anger is contextual and it happens in the moment, then the next day I was asked to bring a magnifying glass, and I handed it to the person. That person placed it on my working space. I didn't notice, I didn't pay attention. I moved the boxes, I broke the magnifying glass, and I was called for placing the magnifying glass in a place where I didn't place it. But when somebody raised their voice on me, I was like, okay, I'm just listening and trying to find a solution. Maybe we should pay for it from my salary. Um, yeah. Or, when the tube of a size of this size would come out upside down, then my job was to catch the tube on time. But if there were too many, not always I could handle. But, it was about staying focused, and it was very monotonous at times. It was about replenishing tubes, and it was about taking over the line with tubes, because when the tube went upside down, then the machine would get stuck. So whenever the machine got stuck, and it happened quite so often, then I was told by the manager, oh, you spoiled it again. You won't deny it, will you? And you hear it so many times, and so many times you agree that you spoiled something. So when I said, for example, that clothes were not important for me, then I had to work in a place that had all walls and floors covered with paint, and I was asked to clean it, and I got my clothes dirty, which was not a big deal. But there was this dialogue between what I said and then what happened. So when I said, for example, I was giving up smoking, then I was asked to what degree was that possible, and the same question I was asked in Poland by my sister. Or I was told that the manager's wife had a type of humor that no one could, not the manager's wife, that his wife believed he had a type of humor no one could relate to. And the very same sentence my sister told me. It's the very exact way she said that. I was told to bring my own boxes and not to use other people. I don't think I did that overly over there, but within the entire theme of my life, yeah, I was a selfish person. I was told, for example, God bless you, and that's the greeting I used quite so often when I worked for a language school. When I worked for a school run by nuns. Or, on the very first day I spent talking to a man whom actually I didn't want to talk to him because it was my first night shift. I wanted to just stay and observe other people at work. But he was very nice to me, and he tried to instigate the conversation with me, and everything was great. So when my naked photos came out to the surface, and I had an impression that everybody knew about my naked photos, then I had to deal with his wife, who was angry with me. She asked me why I was like 3 or 5 minutes late, and why was I smiling. And I was asked the very same question by the boss, who yelled at me. I'm not sure for wearing black clothes when working with children. I was yelled at for such things. When I smiled to reduce tension because it helps me to respond to a stressful situation. Therefore, I smile, like many other people too. And I also never understood why somebody who is above you at work would raise their voice on you. But now I think I got the idea that the idea is to just use intimidation on other people, because this is how it works. It makes us feel scared and insecure when people yell. Yeah, okay. When I talked about living to 100, then the next day somebody said the same thing, that they would like to live to 106, and they presented how would they walk. When I talked to my sister on the phone about the fact that there were a lot of guys at work, and I had no boyfriends then she told me. Then I was told at work that I was asked who is the most handsome man over there, and I would be scared to say it, wouldn't I? Yeah. When I referred to my sister on the phone to the manager as manager, I didn't use his name because I really forgot his name. Then he would told me the next day that he has forgotten my name, and he would call me Mariolka, and that's really a name that I talked about in my book too. And it's not such a typical Polish name. Okay, so I have 3 minutes to what I want to tell you. If you want to know more about the way system works, the system is organized, then please send me a request on my email address, which is alkinga788 at gmail.com. My book goes for free for now, and yeah, I'm happy to share it with you and to show you how we are played around very, very often in our lives without even knowing. And I also created a course about identities of victims of sexual abuse. And it also talks about control, manipulation, mind games. You might have been created into Lolita, and you might have been created. Okay, I have 1 minute to finish this off, so everything is in the description down below, and you can find me on my website, and you can find me on my Instagram account, and on Instagram with this link I will tell you more about my course. Okay, because the time. Forgive me. So see you soon, and have a great day.